Hi everybody, it's great to be back here again on Itamar. It's Friday morning and you may pay attention to the background that's a little different today. I'm in my living room upstairs and trying a different setting for this class. First of all, I hope you all had a wonderful week and Shabbat is here again. And it's time to get down to our Torah portion. This week we'll be discussing Parashat Lech Licha. And I want to begin by analyzing the first verse and from there let's see where things take us from there. So it begins by saying, Vayomer Hashem el Avraham, and God said to Abraham. At that point, if we know his name is Avram, not Abraham, it's Avram, not Avraham. He does not yet have the hey to his name. Lech lecha me'artzecha, leave your country, u'moladetcha, in the place of your birth, u'mebeit avicha, and your father's home, el aretz asher areka, to the land that I will show you. And it goes on the next verse to say, ve'escha legoy gadol, and I will make you a great nation, va'avarechecha, and I will bless you, va'gadel shemecha, and I will make your name great, ve'hei bracha, and you will be a blessing. And then of course it goes on to say, va'avarecha, and I will bless mivarechachecha, those who bless you, u'mekalelcha, oh, and those who curse you I will curse. V'nivachu becha kol mishpachot hadama, and all the families on earth will be blessed in you. So first of all, the question is, we know that our rabbis teach us that this is one of the different trials that Abram had to go through. The question is, what kind of trial is involved here? Many years ago when I first moved to Israel, I had the privilege of studying with a very, very special rabbi. And Rabbi Nachum ben Yaakov, his name is. And to this day, he's a very big rabbi, teaches in Jerusalem. And he asked a very important question as well. He said, who wouldn't really go if God told him, come into the land of Israel, I will make you a great nation, I will bless you, I'll make your name great. How many different blessings does he have here? And we know the explanations of will bless you with financial blessing and all kinds of blessings and spiritual blessings. Who would not want to take this wonderful opportunity of going to the place that God is leading him? If he's promising all these amazing blessings, etc. And so that was the rabbi asked. My rabbi asked this question, and he gave a beautiful answer. I think it was an important lesson that we have to take to ourselves. Right after that, after all these blessings, what does it say? It says, Vayelech Avram goes, Kasher diber ilav Hashem, because God told him. The way Hashem told him to go, he goes. Which means the next verse answers the question. Abraham was not looking for a personal benefit in any way. Although, yes, he was promised personal benefit. But it didn't say Abraham went. Why did the verse stress he went as God told him to go? Because he's going for one reason. He's going because of the honor of Hashem, the honor of God. And this important lesson is what, if you ever read the book, and I've mentioned it before, called Mesilat Yesharim, The Path of the Justice, written by the famous Moshe Chaim Litzato, the Ramchal. And he talks about one of the person's function in this world is why was a person created in this world. And one of his chapters, I think it's if I correct, chapter Yutet, the 19th chapter, he brings down an important function. And he says, important principle, and he says that this world, we are created, man is really created, and his function is everything he does to bring the glory of God in this world, which means everything we do in our mundane lives, we have to ask ourselves, is this bringing respect and glory to God, what we're doing right now? And Abraham, with all these promises, and as again, the only thing that concerned Abraham was bringing the glory of God in the world, and that's why he went, because God told him to go, and nothing else motivated him. Although, of course, he was promised these wonderful promises, and they did take place later on. But his motivation was constantly motivated for the love of Hashem, for the love and the glory of God in the world. And that principle is one of the most fundamental principles of why we're on this earth. It's a very, very hard level to reach. But nevertheless, we mentioned that this is one of the trials of Abraham. What was such a big trial about this? One explanation is God says to him, I will go to the land I will show you. He does not tell him again yet where this land is. Think about it, you have to get up one day and leave, and you don't know where you're going to. But the commentary is an important question, which we have to relate to, regarding this very, very destiny of Abraham, to the land I will show you, to the place I will show you. If we look in the previous portion, in the portion of Noah, and if we look in chapter 11, verse 31, and it says like this, Vayikach Terach, and Terach took et Avram beno, his son Avram, vet Lot ben Haran, and Lot, the son of Haran, which was his grandson, ben beno, vet Sarah kalato, and his daughter-in-law Sarah, the wife of Abraham, vayitzu itam me'or kasdim, and they left Or Kasdim, lelechet al Canaan, to go to the land of Canaan. And they came until the place of Haran, and that's where they settled at that point. So the question is, why? Was it like a riddle, seeming like a riddle in this verse, the opening verse, where Avraham Avinu was going to, where we see that Abraham set out with his father and the family to go to the land of Israel even before this, seemingly before this verse was mentioned. So why is it mentioned in our sources, in our Jewish sources, talk about this being one of the trials of Abraham, that he didn't know where he was going to? We see that somehow he did know where he was going to, because they head out for the land of Canaan. And there are different explanations how to explain this. Number one, there's really two major ways of looking at this. It's something we call the Pshuto shel Mikra, the simple meaning of the verse, and two great commentaries, the Ramban, Nachmanides, and the Rabbi Ibn Ezra. The Ibn Ezra, which are called the Rishonim, the rabbis going back, and again, the Rambam lived in the late 1100s, early 1200s, and the Ibn Ezra even before that, a couple of generations before. We're talking about ancient Jewish sources over here. And analyze the verse by saying, let's first take Ibn Ezra's opinion of his approach. He says really that this promise that God told, or this request that God told Abraham, took place already before. When? It took place in the previous portion, as we just mentioned, when Terach, Abraham's father, decided to make that move to Israel. Really was Abraham that was behind it, because God told him to go to the land I will show you. And afterwards revealed where. So he says this particular verse began then. And after he told him, after he told him to go, he then revealed that you're going to Israel. That's number one. The Ramban writes something different. He says, no. He says, at that point, Abraham set out together with his father, and they somehow were drawn to the land of Canaan, but they wasn't yet became a commandment. It was before the level of a commandment. And only when God told him in the beginning of this week's portion, you go to the land I will show you, now it became a commandment to go to the land of Israel. Before it was on their own willingness, their own accord, they wanted to go in that direction. But now it actually became a commandment. You must go to the land of Israel, God is commanding Abraham. So the question at hand is, okay, fine, why, if they were, what drew them to the direction of Canaan in the beginning if it wasn't really commanded yet? How did Abraham and his father know that was the place for the Jewish people to come? So one of the explanations that we see from the Ramban, if you really read into his words very deeply, is that there's some kind of inner compass, inner spirituality that person leads him to the land of Israel. And this is way before, again, this is not way before, but way before God commanded him to go here. So from there we learn that the inner spirituality of a person will drive him to the promised land. And maybe this is where we know, it's also mentioned in our sources, I've read that everyone inside has this voice saying to him, Lech Licha, go up to the land, come to the land of Israel. It's an inner voice talking to you and saying, come back to the land. There's no doubt my personal story. It's a person who grew up in America, in Brooklyn, as a young child. At the age of 6, I recall spending time with my cousins upstate in New York. We were talking about what we're going to do in the future. And I always had this voice inside me saying, Lech Licha, go to the land. And I pictured one day be living in the land, and I was only 6 at the time, living in the land with this place of beautiful mountain scenery. And I didn't know then I was actually visioning the land of Israel. And God, of course, led me and had the privilege of actually coming back to the land of Israel and settling here. And that's the voice, the inner voice that leads us to the land. Well, I bless you all that God should lead you to the land. At least not coming to live here, come to visit. It's a beautiful place, Israel. And God willing, we will meet again very soon. Have a wonderful Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.